Hello, and welcome to your weekly Oracle card reading for the week of November 3rd, 2014. Okay, well, to start this week off, we're going to be moving through this entire week away from that heightened energy we had last week. In this time, being so connected and the veil being so thin as it was, we may be dealing with some issues. Some things may have came up for us as we were more connected. Oftentimes, the energies will help us purge things that we've, held for a while. So it's appropriate we start the week off. The card represents the first half of the work week with Six of Emotion, which is also Six of Cups, Six of Water. Memories can fill your heart with many emotions. It's important to remember your past accurately without seeing it as better or worse than it was. People you used to know may return to your life unexpectedly. Children could be an important issue, or you may need to reconnect with your own inner child. This card comes up, and I really like the rewording on this particular version of this card. I believe in the Angel Tarot deck it just reads about romanticizing your past. But this is important because many of us will romanticize our past. Once the pain of a hurt relationship or something that's happened to our life fades, we find ourselves remembering the good times and almost like, oh yeah, that was a better time, or things weren't that bad. That romanticizing the past can kind of bury the lesson that you were meant to learn. But I think just as important are people who look at something that happened in their past and really let it generate anger and hatred within them, almost to where you're magnifying the negativity it had. Just the polar opposite of romanticizing it, where you're just living on the good times and almost longing for the good times. You can go to polar opposite and in fact magnify the negativity of that situation as opposed to stripping away the negativity. And that's just as harmful, especially on this journey of evolution where we're trying to release these emotions and let these things go. So I do enjoy the way this card is worded. Getting back to the message for the week, as these things come up for us and we process things, so much of what comes up for us is things from our childhood. Probably, and this isn't going any statistic, I'm just going by what they're giving me, probably 80% of all of our hang-ups and issues came from childhood, came from us having either a bad experience or too easy of a childhood, or just been in a situation where, someone said things to us or did things to us that made us define what things should look like or what life should be like. And in doing that, you set yourself up for failure, or if somebody says something harmful to you and you believed it, that could set for a whole pattern of self-destructive or self-limiting behavior. So it's important looking back at these things as we move through the beginning of this week and these issues that are coming up from our childhood, to experience them. They're coming up for you to experience and recognize they're there, but they're coming up for you to then process it, to let it flow through you and release it. These are why these things come up. And for people who choose to harbor these things, perhaps even though it's a bad sensation it gives them, maybe they're addicted to that sensation or that feeling or that situation. But it's important that when these things come up at these times of these heightened energy, they're coming up because they're letting us know that this is something that needs to be addressed. And often it's a past relationship, a past loved one. Many times it's stuff from your childhood, and that brings us to the second part of the card about getting back in touch with your inner child. This card very often comes up for people who, for one reason or another, didn't get to experience the full joy of their childhood. And it's times like this, it's those particular people that have these situations come up for them where it is kind of reminding them that maybe they didn't have the most pleasant of childhoods. And the message really, if that applies to you, is that it's okay We have the holidays coming up. Regardless of what religion you are, almost all of the major religious holidays coming up are holidays of gift giving and expressing our love through exchanges of gifts. So, it's okay to get back in touch with your inner child. It's okay to kind of fill that void that maybe has been there for so long by being a little silly, by being a little childish, by, asking for something a little less practical, just to have something because you've always wanted it. It's okay to unleash these, what we may look at as adults, irresponsible desires or just fleeting emotions. It's okay to have them at this point in time for you, is the message. And I feel like I'm really getting off track with this whole thing. This card just brings up so many things for so many people. I'm trying to cover all the bases. So I really do want to move on to the next card. But just to wrap this one up, I'll say when it refers to someone from your past, maybe you getting reignited in a relationship, doesn't always have to be romantic. It could just be making a reappearance in your life. The final thing at this card I want to touch base on is that oftentimes that person that we're connecting with is someone who has caused us the conflict or caused us the drama or the heartache in the past, which is why more than ever it's important to release this situation, to process that situation. If it needs forgiveness, give that situation, not because I've said this a million times to all of you people out here, not because they deserve it, because you don't deserve to carry around that pain. So release this situation of this person, especially if it's the person you're getting back involved with, whether it be through friendship, romance, or a business, maybe one of the people who have put these bad experiences or hurtful experiences into your reality, to release it and let that go so you can be more even-keeled and level-headed and moving forward with whatever that endeavor may be. So this is a card that has widespread arms and touches on a lot of different situations for a lot of different people. So I tried to keep that as brief as I could, but I really felt like that card, it really needed some evaluating so people fully understand how that may apply to them. Now, ironically, as we move into the second half of the week, we take one step back and we're at 5 of emotion. And I went a little long-winded and I got into like this multiple aspects of that particular card. But here I kind of put the cart in front of the horse as we speak. Now in this card we're talking about that forgiveness. It says 5 of emotion. Forgiveness is an important part of healing. Forgive yourself and those around you for any mistakes of the past so that everyone can move forward. Grieving is a normal part of life. Ask your angels or those you love to help you move through the process quickly so that you can get back to the path of joy. So this card for the second half week now, we're seeing this, however that first card applied to you, as this comes up and as we're trying to move through these emotions and let go of these things from our past so we can move into a new situation and exist within a realm where those things are no longer tethering us. We are free from them and allowed to move forward without them hindering us or altering our perception of where we are and what we're doing, even if it involves those people that hurt us. So the second half of the week, they're acknowledging this is coming up and that forgiveness may not be an easy thing to do, and to understand that it is a process. It is a normal process, and they actually point out grieving in this card. Sometimes it is grieving. What I often tell people when they come to me for counseling or advice that, getting a divorce sometimes, if you're not the one, if you were blindsided by it or you're still in love with that person, that's almost worse than having your spouse die, because when they die, there's a grieving. When they just walk out the door, they're there. Oftentimes you still have to see them, and you can't, give them the love that you still want to give them, and it can be actually worse than a loss, but it's still a loss. So sometimes with hurt feelings and hurt hearts, there is a grieving process. And reminding us again, it's okay for us to be in that place where some would call it selfish. I call it self-serving, in the sense of we have to do what's right, what's best for us, because until we're right with ourselves and until we're right with the universe, it's hard for us to be any good to anyone else. So don't ever think of it as selfish. And if someone else says that you're being selfish because you're taking this time, or you're down, or whatever's going on, just, you can't. That's another thing you just have to let roll off your back. You can't let it get to you. So it seems like as we're coming down from this energy, we have two of these, and they're very challenging emotion cards. The 6 and the 5 are very challenging emotional situations. It's that come down from that energy, like I said before, and it leaves some people kind of wanting, and just know it's all temporary. Know that as our Bible tells us, this too shall pass, and you're always coming out of that other end of the storm, or whatever analogy it is you want to use, not only stronger and better for it, but with a new perspective and a new drive to move on to what it is that really is important to you. You have a new focus, eyes on the prize, so to speak. So keep that in mind as you're going through this process of healing and forgiveness and grief and emotion, is that this is something that is needed for you. It's something that's wanted for you, so you can more accurately and with truth re-enter whatever facet of business or relationship it is with someone, or in regards to someone or something that has kind of wronged you in the past, because this is a new adventure, and you being a part of this with a clear head will enable you to stand in your power so that you are not the victim again. And now, wrapping up into the weekend here, it seems like I have once again put the cart in front of the horse, so to speak, as I started to address the next card in the last reading. So this reading is all very, very strongly about taking this time to heal and forgive. Here, now moving through the weekend, we have the 3 of thought, which would be swords or air. Loving angels surround you to heal and comfort you. The sadness you feel will fade away in time, and then you'll be able to see clearly how important this situation has been for your spiritual growth. Take the time you need to forgive yourself and others so that you can embrace the future with joy. So I've pretty much already touched base on this card. With the last card, it's kind of all this whole week has just sort of been one continued theme for the entire week. It all reiterates onto itself. It's a week of healing, of forgiving. May be challenging, may even be sad or slightly depressing for some people. But just maintain the course. Don't let it stop you or push you backwards. Moving through this weekend, I want you all to really take notice of sensations you're feeling. I want you all to really, especially if you're having a really challenging week, whatever it is that's coming up for you, to really ask for and then look for and receive signs from your angels of how they are helping you, where they're helping you. It could be specific things like, let me see a white feather if you're here with me, and then over the course of the weekend you'll find a white feather. It could be something more obscure like you happen to be flipping through channels and stop on something where they're talking about exactly what you're going through. But ask for, and then keep an open mind and really look for the signs they're sending you, so you have that validation that you are supported. We all know we are, but sometimes it's nice to get that really clear validation, just a reassurance that we are. So especially if you're having a challenging week this week, moving into this coming weekend, ask for and then be open to receive the signs from your angels, where they are supporting you and how they are supporting you, and just know that they are. And have faith in that, and have faith in the journey is always exactly what it's supposed to be, exactly when it's supposed to be, exactly how it's supposed to be. So, with the thoughts and ideas of divine timing and divine order, we question ourselves why, and that's a good question to ask. Certainly, we want to understand why, but I think in this journey, and this is just what I feel they're giving me, we as human beings can ask why all day, and we can be told why, and we'll never actually understand why. So I believe what they're telling me to tell you all right now is not to question why, but to question what now. What has happened has happened. It is up to you now to process it and release it, and then move forward with a clearer perspective on what you want, on what brings you joy, and what you will not stand for any longer. So, I believe the theme of this week, obviously, is the feeling it, letting it flow, sending it forgiveness. And then the last one, I'm going to call this one the 4 F's. The last one is finding your freedom. I guess that technically would be 5 F's, but and remember, when you're challenged and you want to ask why, try to focus on the concept of, I may never understand why, but I have to understand that there was a reason for my higher purpose and higher good and my higher journey. So the question now is, what am I going to do with what's left? Where do I go from here to be positive and to make the most of the situation where it is now? And it's with that higher perspective, it'll be easier for you to transition into a positive place in regards to the situation. So it's an odd reading. It's not one we're used to seeing a lot of, where it just really focuses on the challenges ahead. But again, it's all perspective. When we look at this and we see that it's not so much that this is going to be a bad week, or the week will be what we make it is, what we make of it to be. So it can be looked at certainly as a challenging week, as a week of sadness and desperation. But in truth, it is a week of purging. It is a week of taking out the trash. It is a week of letting go what no longer serves you, which in the end will leave you a lighter, higher vibrational, more suited to be of service in your spiritual journey person.